Good morning, students. Once again, welcome you all in the class of English. Myself Kamalnath, and in this video, I am going to explain you the question answer of the exercise A Sea of Foliage. You all know that this week we all are learning an interesting poem, A Sea of Foliage by Taru Dutt. In the last two videos, I explained you the poem, introduced you the poetess, and I detailed the summary, objective, concept, and the theme of the poem. I am sure you all must have understood whole poem well, and now it's chance to know what are the questions in the exercise so that we can discuss and we can answer well. Student, these exercises no doubt reveals and here discloses so many confusions. What is in your mind regarding the poem, regarding the here some objectives of the poetess. These questions of course clears everything and the concept is quite clear. So let us see what is in understanding the poem that is asked, and I will explain you. I do hope you all will understand and you too can even respond, you too can answer. But let me give my concept so that you can answer in your own language. Let us go to the question. What is the question that is being asked? Here, the first question in understanding the poem is, this poem describes a garden at two different times. What are those times? Here, the question is very clear. This poem, that is, the poetess is describing about the beauty of her garden. This beauty is here described at two times of the day. What are those two times? And how do you know about that two times? The poem describes this garden two times. First at day, when the beauty and color of trees look natural. Of course, in the sunlight, the color of the trees, plants, leaves and flowers look quite natural. That is the daytime. Second time, in the night, when the moonlight transforms. At night, when the moonlight falls on the trees, plants, flowers, everywhere, that changes, transforms the beauty of color and makes the scene extraordinary. Very much beautiful, very much fascinating. That even the poetess tells that it is almost intoxicating. We know this poem is described two times. We know because the poetess describes the beauty of foliage, means greenery, vegetation of the garden, in two different looks. That is here described in two different looks and appeals to see these differences. The poetess appeals the readers to just recognize and find what are the two differences at two times. She has described the beauty of her garden. Let us see in the other question, that is what? Second question. A sea, foliage, but not a sea of dull and varied green. This is the line taken from the poem, and on the basis of this extract only you have been given the question, why is the foliage compared to a sea? Here the poetess is comparing her garden with the sea. In what sense? How? The foliage is compared to a sea because it appears as vast and endless like a sea, but unlike a sea, which has an unvarying shade of green throughout. The foliage in her garden has a different attracting and contrasting shade of green. She is telling her garden is also very big, as vast as a sea, but not unvaried green, means without changes like a sea. Sea water is green, but it is thoroughly green. There is no contrast, no changes anywhere. Throughout the sea you can see the water level, and that is green. Here the poetess tells that her garden doesn't look complete green, unvaried green like a sea. It is here changing. Its shade is here changing. Foliage in her garden has a different attracting and contrasting shade of green. Somewhere light green, somewhere deep green, somewhere different here, red color, sharp color. So she tells that the vastness of her garden is like a sea, but not unvaried green like the sea. Its greenery is changing, the color is changing, contrast. This breaks the dullness seen in the sea. Sorry. How is the sea not a dull, unvaried green? That's the next question. B. How is the sea not dull, unvaried green? Give an example of how the green varies. Just one type of plant everywhere, like the sea, which remains unchanged, will be dull. She is telling that the green color of the sea, that is what here, everywhere the same, unchanged, and that will be what? A dull. That will present a dullness. In the same way, similar type of plant will give a dull impression, means same color. But in the poet's garden, there is a mixture of plants, colors and textures which could be a sea of foliage around her garden. So that contrast, that different colors and different textures of the color, of course, is very attractive, and that is what a sea of foliage around her garden. That kind of sea of foliage, that kind of greenery. Let us see now next question. In the same here part is here, her garden is filled with different and exciting and contrasting shade of green, like the light green of tamarind tree. Tamarind tree has the leaves that is of light color, and the deep green of mango grove. Here there is contrast in the green color. The tamarind leaves has a light color, light green, whereas the mango leaves have deep green, dark green. So this is what the contrast that is here presented. C, question number C. What effect does the variation have on the garden and the speaker? The variation brightens the look of the garden. The variation means the changing of this here greenery, changing of the contrast and color, brightens the look of the garden, which would have looked dull otherwise. If this variety or variation would not have been in the garden, then it would have looked here dull. The poet's spirit also lifted looking at contrasting shades of green. Her spirit is also lifted, very much enthusiastic, very much fascinated when she saw the contrasting shades of the green of her garden. Next question, that is third. Why does the speaker consider the scene among the bamboos the loveliest spot in the garden? What effect does the beauty have on her? The answer will be here. The scene among the bamboos is the loveliest spot because the beautiful silver moon peeps between the tall grey bamboos. and shines dazzling on white lotuses glowing in the pool. This beautiful sight is so intoxicating that the poet feels drunk with the amazing beauty of the sea. A sea almost feels dizzy. It's no doubt really very much here, just extraordinary here comparison, extraordinary here simile. That when the moonlight falls on the lotus, it really makes it so attractive. It looks like it is a silver cup. The lotuses looks like silver cup in the light, shining light of the moon that comes through the bamboos. And that scene makes the poetess drunken, like she is drunken. It creates really intoxication to her. And so she is enjoying the beauty of her garden, being amazed. She almost feels dizzy. Here, the next question is, the white lotus changes into a cup of silver. What does this mean? This means that white lotuses are gleaming, shining like silver cups when the moon shines on them. Means when the moonlight falls on the lotuses, it looks like silver cups. Question that is from appreciating the poem, from the exercise only. There is, palms arises like pillars grey. This is an example of a simile, a comparison of one thing with another, using words such as like or as to point a particular activity. Which quality of the palms does this simile point at? That's the question. The simile points out at the tallness and straightness of the palm trees. B question is from that statement, from the same extract. Find another simile in the first stanza of the poem and explain it. What is unusual about this simile? Another simile is, over the quiet pools the simul's lean, red and startling like a trumpet's sound. This is what here the line taken from the poem in which the simile is used here. Over the quiet pools of water, red in color and presenting a contrast to the green around them. This contrast and difference may surprise or startle someone who is not expecting it. One cannot expect that type of contrast, that red and sharp red flower of simul's tree among the greenery. That is so really attractive, so fascinating, that can surprise anyone, startle anyone. And this surprise is here compared to the sound of trumpet. It is not here compared to any sight, but it is here compared to the sound. This startling is here compared to the sound of trumpet. So this contrast and difference may surprise or startle someone who is not expecting it. What is unusual about the simile, this simile, is that it compares a sight to a sound instead of to another sight. Here the next question from appreciating the poem is here. This poem asks us to look all around the garden, not only from one side to another, but also from high above to down below. How does it do that? This poem asks to look around the garden from one side to another, as it points at the different trees standing side by side, from the tamarind to the mango to the simuls. It also begins by saying that the foliage surrounds the garden on all sides, so that to see the foliage we have to look all around. And that's why In this way, the poetess is appealing. It then talks about the moon in the sky, visible through the bamboo trees, and goes on to describe the white lotus floating on a pool of water, thus making us look from a sky above the garden below. So in this way, you have seen the questions from understanding the poem, appreciating the poem, both exercises, and I'm sure that you must have enjoyed all these discussions. You must have understood well. So next week we will have some other chapter, other interesting story. So thank you, students, being with me, listening carefully. Thank you.